All right, guys, what's up? Welcome to episode 45 of HiBruiNation, your unofficial home of the Boston Bruins. This is the Black and Gold. We welcome you to it. I'm Goosey, as always, joined with me by my trusty colleague in Steve the Chavo. What's going on, buddy?
What's up, buddy?
That was like so delayed. You were just did you have to like prepare yourself for your camera moment there?
No, I think I
Like
think
there's
everything's lagging.
Oh, it's lagging. Oh, well, whatever. We'll have to navigate that as we traverse this. All right, guys. Well, we got a good show for you tonight on HiBruiNation, but first we got some news. Training camp's on Wednesday, right? That's going to be good. Start of the preseason is less than a week away as of this recording, and we are less than a month away from the start of the 25-26 NHL season. Woo! Going to be a wild one. Hope you guys stay tuned. We're going to talk some interesting stuff with you guys tonight. We're going to talk about the Bruins Prospect Challenge that happened over this past weekend, where the Bruins played 2 games, one against Pittsburgh and one against the New Jersey Devils. If you guys had a chance to watch it, they actually live streamed it from the Boston Bruins website. It was really interesting. Really wish they found a way to do some replays there, but if you actually stuck around, they did do some stuff. If you went on their website, they actually had some game recaps for you. Going to do some preseason preview, considering I believe the first game is on Sunday, and that is going to be against the Capitals at home ice. Then we're going to build a Bruin, and then we're just going to discuss what's going to be coming up next for HiBruiNation. Without further ado, let's get into it. We're going to start the Prospect Challenge. Steve, did you get a chance to watch the games?
I did not get a chance to watch the games.
If you didn't watch them, I wouldn't say you missed much outside of what you kind of would have expected for some of the players that showed up. They played Pittsburgh on Friday, which was a 2-1 loss. And then they finished it up with the New Jersey Devils prospects on Sunday, which was a 6-4 win. I can kind of drive this conversation, but basically what happens is, so the Bruins, obviously with some of their prospects, like, Fraser Minton played. That was a big one, right? We anticipate him to make the opening night roster. The Bruins' 4th-round pick, and I believe it was the 4th-round pick, Dan's I keep hearing this. Do you know if it's Loch Mellis or Loesch Mellis? Because I've heard both.
I've heard both too, and I'm waiting for Andy Berkeley to let me know how to say it.
I mean, Johnson typically has a good idea on it, so I'm going to say Loesch Mellis. You can take Loch Mellis if you want to be good cop, bad cop here. I don't know if we can get weird with it if we really wanted to. Those were 2 players I was definitely interested in seeing and how they performed. Obviously, like Fabian Lysell was not there, and neither was Matty Poitras. I think they played way too many. I can't remember exactly why they weren't there, but they were not. They had a couple invites from that were invited to rookie camp, go and play. And then they had the goaltender that they just signed in, Simone Zaitchek. I'm going to butcher that every time I see it. But that's actually the player I wanted to narrow down on this. I don't know if because you didn't get to see him play, but man, in that 2-1 loss against Pittsburgh, dude, he stopped 30 of 32 shots, but that sounds like a lot, but a lot of them were very high danger. Like, he seemed calm, cool, collected. And, one thing about Boston, and I think that you'll agree with me here, is that we've typically built the team from, just outside of the crease outward, right? And we start with the defense, we get the goaltending, we get the forward group, and we do all that. Zaitchek is he's only 24, I believe, but he looks like he could be a pretty solid backup and replacement for Korpisalo. Say that Mike DiPietro just doesn't crack it. A little bit younger too.
So there's upside too, and I mean, it doesn't surprise me because the Bruins are known for building goalie out, right? and they've done pretty well with getting good goaltenders, and then also developing good goaltenders into even better goaltenders. Um, and that's not a shock to me. I mean, it's always nice to have a goalie down the pipeline, especially for a lot of reasons. One, you know, you need a good goalie to steal games from you, right? Or steal games for you. And you also need goalies in the development process to even trade for assets that you need on the team. I mean, if a bunch of teams need a good goaltender, they're willing to give you something in return for it. And that's a lot of times how the Bruins, have used a lot of their goalie prospects and whatnot. And I mean, that's just what it comes down to. Bruins know what they're doing when it comes down to goaltending.
The Bruins typically know what they're doing when it comes down to defensive structure as well. That's like, the two backbones in the Bruins history would be their defensive structure and their goaltending, right? We just a little bit on that. What was disappointing, I think, in the prospect challenge, where you actually saw how thin the prospect pool at defense was. And, you could hear the commentators say it quite a few times when they were mentioning that, like, the defense needs to tighten up a bit. There were more times where I felt I was watching the prospects in terms of the forwards were making better defensive plays than the defensive prospects. And that kind of struck me a bit. Like, if you look at the current roster and where we're at, like, we already knew that the roster depth is thin as it is, but I didn't realize it was that thin on the defensive side of the puck. I mentioned that it was 2-1 in Pittsburgh, but it was then 6-4 in favor of Boston on Sunday against New Jersey. And I feel like had Zajac not stood on his head at some occasions, I feel like that score also could have been run up. Like, now Pittsburgh doesn't also have the greatest prospect pool either, but they were getting pretty solid quality chances, and I was just genuinely surprised. So definitely, in my eyes, like, Zajac was the highlight of that game, and Minton as well. Like, you definitely anticipated him trying to establish some more offensive creativity. He's touted as a very good two-way forward. He has top six potential, but we're likely going to see him in the third line, which is fine. If the kid needs to develop a little bit more, that's totally fine. That's where I would have him develop. But I think definitely, if you would have seen him play, Steve, like, he was great. Good defensive reads, great, just great reads in general coming through the neutral zone. Had a couple steals, had a couple good shots, had a couple points, and I think you just saw a little bit more out of him than what you feel like you needed to. So Fraser Minton, I'm very high on right now. I don't know if you had thoughts on that.
I'm glad to hear that. You watch those games and you're coming away with something that I felt for a while is this kid is clearly putting in the effort, putting in the work to make the NHL roster, right? And I feel like a lot of Bruins fans are also pretty high on this kid. And again, we'll reiterate this, but we've been saying just give the kid a chance out there and let him develop into NHL talent. And I think him going out there in the prospect games, from what you're telling me, is just more proof that this kid is ready to take the next step and get some NHL minutes under his belt to develop him even further. That way, when we're talking about the prospect pool and what we have and what we don't have, is maybe we have a brighter future ahead of us than right now. If we have a couple solid guys that are going to make the transition from AHL to NHL, that's always a good thing, right? Especially if you have at least three guys coming up, that's three less guys that you have to worry about signing, acquiring, and trading for, and fighting in free agency, as opposed to just, hey, we developed you, we want to keep you around, we want you to be a Boston Bruin, and signing him to a team-friendly deal and getting him NHL minutes.
Yeah, it wouldn't be. I'm sorry, I'm fumbling my words on here. Wouldn't it be nice though? Like, obviously, everyone wants, like, the second you're drafted, you can go into the NHL and play games. Right? Like, that's the dream, right? That every fan wants. That everyone wants to be an impact player. some players like just need a little time. And like some players don't turn out to be great up until later, a little bit later in their career. So I think Minton might be one of those guys where he needed that a little bit of extra time in the American League, to grow into the player that he is. Like maybe Lysell. Patra seems like he's already ready. I'm actually sold on him. I think he should be making the roster as well, and I think that's going to be evident. But like you never know. And to your point, you never know what you're truly going to get out of these guys until you actually stick them in the position for a longer period of time to see how they develop in that position. One more piece to the prospect that I was impressed with was Loesch Mellis. I thought his like he could be easily a 4th round steal with what he looked like. I'm not saying he's going to be this, David Pastrnak or Brad Marchand type player, but he could be a part of the roster and probably be an impact player on the roster, even in the bottom 6. So
I mean,
he's someone I'm definitely looking at.
To be honest with you, your point about, it would be nice if every player that you drafted just shows up and is NHL ready, but more often than not, that isn't the case, right? It's one of those things where, you have to get a guy, you have to develop a guy. It's all about stages of progression. I mean, there are very few hockey players, any professional sports where you're ready to make an impact out there. More times than not, you're going to draft a guy, let him simmer a little bit, let him cook, and then he's going to get the minutes that he's earned, right? It's not like everybody can be a Connor Bedard or David Pastrnak or just naming guys that have gotten drafted and then come in and actually made an impact on their team, right? I mean, I know I rag on Bedard a lot, but hey, he's making himself known in the NHL, right? He's getting some points. He's obviously not on a good team right now, but he is trying to be an impact player, right? Wouldn't it be nice if they're all like that? But that's not the case.
He will be.
I mean, he will be. I mean, but besides the point, right? I mean, it's very unlikely you're going to get drafted and then make the NHL roster, right? It's just very unlikely that you're going to come in and make that happen, as opposed to, hey, you're going to play a couple seasons at AHL. There might not be any spots available for you on the NHL roster, right? And you're going to have this guy, down in your AHL affiliate team and developing that. So when they do lose players to, contracts and other things and trades, you have somebody to come up and replace them. But I mean, I think we've been talking about this for a while is just the prospect pool is limited, but I'm glad to know that there are some diamonds in the rough, whether it be, 2 to 3 guys or 3 to 5 guys, right? At least there's something, and something's better than nothing at this point. You could be like Pittsburgh, where there's not really too much going on in there, or, another team that doesn't really necessarily have the best prospect pool either.
Now, I will take middle 6 talent at this stage. James Higgins, he's going to be our future first line center. Yes, absolutely, I'll take that. But right now, if you're telling me our prospect pool is giving indications that we could even have a second line forwards being established, I'm fine with that. Minton has a 2C has like second line potential. Patra has second line potential. We've seen it. At least in Patra, we've seen it. So I'm curious on how that will go and how they continue. The thing is that I think Patra is a little on the smaller side, but he's putting on weight. And so, if you think about it too, Higgins is also on the smaller side. So the Bruins also need some size there. So you got to have that happy medium of both of them. But I will absolutely take having potential second line talent ready to be developed. These guys are only like 22 and 20 years old, and Patra being 22 and Patra being 20. I'm okay with it because I don't need them to be game breakers at 20 and 22 years old. But if you're going to tell me that by the time that they turn 25, and they're on your second line, and then they're extremely effective, and they're good at what they do, then did we really lose any time? I mean, for Poitras, it'll take longer to get there, and ideally, I would want them there a little bit sooner rather than later because of Pastrnak in his prime, and I would do whatever it takes to keep him here. But yeah, I'm content. I'm content with it. The only negatives I would say I took out of the prospects challenge is that I thought the power play was not good. I thought they definitely tried to pass it around too much. They tried to play pass.
Yeah.
In the defense.
Yeah, and I mean we've seen that at the NHL level too, right? I think that historically, the Bruins power play is not the best.
No.
And especially last season and the season before, it felt very
less than
apparent.
15% last season.
Huh?
I think it was less than 15% last season. I think it was abysmal. I don't even know the
Yeah, I
numbers
think
on
it was
that.
abysmal. But I even before that, right? I mean, I think my opinion of it is if your name is not David Pastrnak, you're not allowed to shoot the puck on the power play.
That's a fair point.
It had the essence of, hey, let's pass it around until Pasta gets open so he can get a shot, as opposed to generating shots when a defenseman is open or a winger is open and having the person in front of the net try to crash the net a little bit more and having the offside wing or having a winger crash the net and score some dirty goals, right? I think it's more effective when you get the shots on the puck, because when you get the shots on the puck, it changes the composition of the defense, right? They lose sight of it. Where's it going?
You're gonna move.
You're moving it around, and it's forcing the other players on the opposing teams to move around and adjust accordingly, and that's more often than not going to allow someone to get open and score a third try goal, right? You get a shot there, you get another shot, or it bumps out a little bit more. You can get the goalie out of position. You get a defenseman out of position. The problem is the lack of shots being generated on the Bruins power plays, right? And again, you're telling me at the prospect game is the lack of shots is very apparent, and is that a coaching development type thing, right? Are they looking for one guy to be able to shoot the puck? I don't know. It just seems like a whole systemic issue to me where they're not generating shots on a power play. You're already a man up. Take the shots, cause some confusion, get some chaos going, and make it count, right? Make them pay, as they would say.
I mean, they did start shooting it eventually. I just feel like the first one or two, it was a struggle because and I agree with your point. Causing chaos for the defense when you're on the power play is key to success because if you get them moving, you're opening up a lane for the guy, the man that you have the advantage on to squeak in somewhere. Looking for that, I just what irks me, and this is just in general with power plays, you don't always need to have the perfect shot. You just need to have a shot that will land somewhere near the net and ideally not in the goalie's glove. That's it. You want to shoot for the rebound. If you got no pass, or if you feel like you've been passing it around and their defense has just been standing there with their stick in a lane, no, get it to the net. Get it to someone who's going to rip it, get them moving, get them gassed, and keep it in. Seal off the boards. You know what I mean? But it was just definitely the one of the power plays that I was watching for the prospects. It was the zone entries could have been better. The playing pass, wasn't enough. Some things, I don't know, just areas for improvement. You know what I mean? I just didn't want to see that continue up to the big club. But no, I think the highlights, for the prospect challenge definitely for me was Los Melis, Zajac, and Fraser Minten. There's I can't remember the player's name, but good clean entries, I would say. And so it gave me a little bit of hope, at least for the guys that we knew what to look out for. And it gave me a new guy, to look out for in terms of Zajac, right? So that was an awesome thing to see. Really not much else to add honestly, from the Prospect Challenge. I mean, it's always cool and interesting to see, to see this because like this is the future of the team in theory. Um, biggest gripe, and Steve, I'm sure you agree with me because you didn't see it. They got to televise it. It'd be awesome.
Yeah, yeah. Televising would be helpful.
Really?
I mean, especially for guys like us, where we're trying to watch and give our opinion. Right, having a little bit more easy access to these things are kind of important to what we're trying to do here. It's just but at the same time, I understand why they wouldn't. Right, it's not a big draw. It's early September. People going back
It's
to
not going to bring in
school, all
money.
that good stuff. It's not bringing any money, right? Like there's just things about it where it doesn't really, you know, it's not conducive to the bottom line. But it is what it is. We have a bunch of preseason stuff to look forward to, and I'm sure those will be a little bit more televised, and we'll get to see the state of Boston Bruins hockey.
All right. Well, then with that, let's get into some. Actually, what do you think? Do you want to do the preseason talk now, or do you want to go into Build-a-Bruin? What
Let's
do you
do
want to do? Do you want to have a
preseason.
little bit of fun and then want to do some
Let's do
preseason? All right,
preseason, and then
Steve,
yeah.
start us off with the preseason thoughts.
All right. Preseason thoughts is we got a lot of stuff going on with the Metro, and it's
Weird, right?
weird to me to see that game 1 home versus the Capitals, game 2 at Rangers, game 3 at Flyers, game 4 home against the Flyers, game 5 at the Capitals, and to end the preseason, game 6 is home against the Rangers. And it's a lot of Metro stuff. And there's some tough games in there, and it's preseason, doesn't count really, but it helps you evaluate where things are going and how the team is doing at that state. We're going to see a lot of line changes and all that stuff, and they're going to play the game of where to put people and all that good stuff. But against the Capitals, that's a tough fight. Rangers, it's the Rangers. They always put up fights. The Flyers, I'm actually nervous about the Flyers because
I'm not.
I am, man. The Broad Street Bullies are back, man. The Broad Street Bullies are back, and
Their prospects pool is definitely deeper.
It's
sure.
deeper, but also it's the Philadelphia Flyers, right? Like when you think of the 1970s hockey, you think of the Big Bad Bruins and the Broad Street Bullies just going at it and beating the shit out of each other, right? And it seems to me that the direction of both of these organizations is bloodbath written right on it. And it's like, yeah, we might lose, but we're going to kick the shit out of you a little bit and try to squeak by some tight games that way. And I'm just kind of curious to see how we're going to match up against those type of guys. Especially it's going to be a very physical team against the Flyers, in my opinion. But that also kind of gets you prepped for playing Florida, because they do play that style of hockey where they're going to beat you up, get low and play the physical game against you. And it's going to see what they're going to test their mettle for this one. But I don't know. It's one of those things. I never like playing the Metro Division because they're kind of like sneaky teams over there. The Capitals, they're there. I mean, they're always lurking there. It's just
They were great last year.
I mean, they weren't bad. Ovi still got his record.
Yeah.
I mean,
No, I know. I mean,
it is. You know what I mean?
For
Like
me,
it's one of those
like,
things.
yeah. I mean, well, for me, I mean, I see games 1 through 3. You're gonna see some of the prospects, the AHLers playing like those 3 games. You'll see predominantly those guys, the guys that are gonna try and fight for maybe the 1 to 3 spots that we have available on the roster. I honestly, game 4, 5, and 6, to be honest with you, I might even say games 1 and 2, you're going to see a significant drop off of people that are not going to make the opening night roster. I think you're going to start seeing the roster really take shape by game 4. Like by game 4, you're actually going to have an idea. So that's my aspect of it. So everyone's going to get their opportunity against the Capitals, the Rangers, and the Flyers once, I think. And then on that back half, they're going to get you're going to see what the final roster is going to look like. I think Game 6, you might see like I would say 80 to 90% of what the final roster is going to look like, assuming that's how they want to go with it. If I was the head coach or if I was the GM, that's how I would structure my off season. You know what I mean? Like start with a bunch of rookies per se, and pair them with like a couple NHL guys or guys who have NHL experience, just to kind of give them and see how they compete, keep them around, and the ones that obviously don't give you the good vibes, and then you just constantly bring in more NHLers, as you narrow down the roster. I wouldn't be surprised at that at all. And I think
you got to think about it like this too, where am I expecting to see David Pastrnak game 1, 2, 3? Not really.
You shouldn't.
I mean, not really at all. Maybe game 3.
He might play 1 or 2 games.
Yeah, I don't know. He might play 3 games just because, again, longer off season. There's more time to shake off the rust and get at that level. Again, this is also the type of game where it doesn't count, obviously, but it's more to shake off the rust and get some cohesion going, right? And so, definitely games, 5 and 6, you're going to see that first line together, try to, shake off some rust and do that stuff. The first 4 games to me is definitely going to be those. I think if I'm the coach, I'm putting myself in the shoes, like what lines are going to work together, right? So you might see those younger guys with those newer guys mixed in to see what
like
lines.
Corrali, Acemont.
You know what I mean? Like to see where they fit in and see what who's going to play well together. Even if it's they put our projected 4th line as the second line out there. You know what I mean? Just to see how it flows, and then change it up halfway through the game or something like that if the coach doesn't like it. That's to me, these type of games are the early games that are going to be like, hey, we got Patra, where's he going to fit in? We got Minton, where's he going to fit in? Where's Acemont going to fit in? Where's Corrali going to fit in? Like, who is he going to play well with? Like all those things, and the coach is trying to evaluate all those little things that of course it's going to be refined over the course of a season, but at the same time, it's like a new coach walking in. We got
ideally not.
Well, yeah, no, ideally
not, right? We don't want them to jumble it up like insane, like, you know what I mean? Just,
of course,
enough to keep it fresh, but
exactly. But at the same time, it's like new coach, new players, a lot of young guys that are in the AHL talent, right? Where are they going to fit in? And I think the coach needs to do a lot of evaluation. And I feel like those first 4 games are definitely going to be a lot of evaluation type games and situation. Hey, who's going to work out for the power play? Who's going to work out for the PK? Who do we have? Even if it's considered our power play 2 or penalty kill 2, right? It's kind of like those kind of mini evaluations that are going to be taken into account. Like this is more for the coaches than for the players, in my opinion, especially the first 3-4 games. The last 3 games, 2 games is definitely, for the players that are going to, start night 1, right? Game 1 to shake off the rust, get some NHL, time under their belt again to just, get them ready for the regular season to, deal with the physicality, deal with, situational hockey, deal with, the speed of the game and all those different things, right? It's just a lot of coaching stuff is going to be happening in those first 3 games.
You know who I'm looking out for? So going into preseason, my guys that people should take a look, just keep eyes on. Lysell, and I'll give you the reason why soon. Patra, Minton, Duran, Louis Mellis, Callahan, DiPietro, Zajac, and Blumel, or Blumel, whatever, however you pronounce his name. Reasons being, Lysell, you need to show improvement with him, right? He needs to show that what he spoke about after I think the rookie camp or during that time that he was spending with the team during it was captain's practices, where he had mentioned like, he focused more on his game this off season. The off season before that, he was focusing on getting stronger and bigger. So I really, this is it for him. If he wants to be a Bruin, he'll probably he could go to another team because they probably might not qualify him. So I don't know what the Bruins mindset is with that. But I need Lysell to actually take that next step forward and show that he can be ready to compete at the NHL level, whether that's on the second line, third line, fourth line, wherever that is, he needs to take that step. For Patra, I need to see consistency from him. He did it well in the AHL, where I think he struggled a bit in the NHL, was that he had ebbs and flows, and I really need to see him fine-tune that game, because I know he's going to be a future NHLer, but I think I just need to see a little bit more of that consistent piece from him that I think is slightly missing. Mitten, offensive creativity. I need to see that from him. We already can see that he's a great two-way forward. You can see it in his game. You can see where his mindset's at. I need to see more of that offensive creativity that I saw in the Prospects Challenge. For Duran, Loshmelis, and Callahan, I need to see their developmental progress. So Loshmelis showed it in the Prospect Challenge. Callahan gave you a hint of some stuff, like, when he came and played up for the big club last year when we were having defensive struggles. Duran, I just want to see how he's developing and if he can eventually turn into maybe a fourth line guy for the Boston Bruins. For DiPietro and Zajac, I want to see if one of them has the possibility of replacing Korpisalo, because I think that's something that the Bruins need to get out of. I think they need to get out of the contract, and they can't keep hoarding all these goaltenders, because, look what happened with Brandon Bussey. He left. So I think one of them has to replace Korpisalo. Yeah. And then for Blumel, he's just new blood. I want to see what he can bring. I was talking to someone on Twitter, and they said, like, I'm high on this guy. I'm like, all right, well, I want to see what he can do. And then, him and I went back and forth. I said, you know what, you might have me sold on him, but he's definitely someone I want to see, this preseason. What do you think?
No, I agree. But it's funny to me because you're very focused on those young guys, right? I'm more focused on known people, right? So for me, keep the eye out for Jeremy Swayman, right? I want to. He listen. It doesn't matter. You're going to see those guys. Huh?
In preseason, though? Like, are you looking out for them in, like, preseason? Because for the guys that I think on the NHL roster, oh, really? Because for me, I'm, like, thinking, like, the guys like Swayman, Pasternak, Lindholm, like, those guys, like McAvoy, that's more, for me, that's more for, like, the first 10 games of the season. But no, all right, I'll hear you out. I'm going to hear you out on this. I want to hear the Stevism, the Chavo.
Okay. Well, for me, listen, we can sit here, and debate whether Jeremy Swayman was. Listen, to me, Jeremy Swayman was not on his A game all of last season, right? There's a lot of reasons to it, and not to get into it, but I'm looking to see if he's as sharp as he was before the last season, right? So, and I understand that it's preseason and it's like there's some gimmies and stuff like that, but I'm looking to see what my goaltender is looking like in the preseason, right? Because last preseason he did not look good at all. So I'm hoping with the training camp and and all these things that he comes back kind of locked in more. I'm very curious with Charlie McAvoy after a season-ending injury last
season-ending career.
Yeah, season-ending career, right? No, but
yeah,
I'm very curious.
He had a shoulder infection, right?
Well,
an infection in his shoulder. Yeah, he was hospitalized.
Well, I think he broke his shoulder and had surgery on it, and then he got an infection on it. So, because that happened at the what was it, the Four Nations face-off?
Four Nations.
Yeah.
Sorry, real quick on that. They need to do that again, by the way. Sorry, I just needed to do on a side tangent on that. Like, they need to do something like the Four Nations again. That was spectacular.
I thought it was great, but also
you may continue.
Yeah, sidebar to that while we're on it. I think they should do that again. I also think they should add a couple more countries to make it kind of really interesting.
I agree.
Because we're missing a lot of really good talent out there from different countries, and I think that'd be really interesting to see. But that was obviously something to watch out for. But he's probably going to play four games there to shake off the rust. McAvoy.
Sorry, McAvoy. Ooh,
Yeah,
really?
I think. Listen, if you got to
That's a
remember,
lot.
he was. Yeah, it's a lot, but he also missed a half a season, so he needs to
Yeah,
get back
fair, but
out there.
that's what training camp is for, though, right? Like, are you really going to
No,
put him out there for 4 games?
I think so. Listen. The problem,
Two
right,
or
for me
three?
is, I think 4 games. I think they'll give him some more time to get his cardio up and all that stuff, and give him some extra rest for the season. But to me, listen, skating's like riding a bike, and obviously the first couple minutes that you're riding a bike after you haven't rode a bike for a while is a little bit shaky, and you need to do it again. Same thing when it comes to playing level, right? He missed half a season. He had an injury. There's things that he would if I'm him and the coaching staff, I'm putting him out there to get him back up to the speed he was at. And the only way you're going to do that is by playing those games at the NHL level, seeing different people, right? So it kind of gets him back because he didn't play as many games as a Pasternak or as a Geeky or as a Dorov. So you need to fill in a gap somewhere to get him kind of more up to speed with the game again, and just so it's not game one and he's looking like complete shit out there. So that's the number two thing for me is seeing how McAvoy's recovery went. If he's looking sloppy, obviously that he can get better throughout the season, but he did miss a half a season. So I'm trying to see, how he's recovering and how his recovery went, as opposed to not being surprised. And again, the perfect time to put a Charlie McAvoy out there for that many games is the preseason, because you're going to give him the exposure he needs to get back up to speed, but also it's preseason, so it doesn't count. It's one of those like safe bets where it's like, hey, get accustomed again, and then it doesn't matter if you make
See,
mistakes because it's preseason.
this is where I might disagree with you a little bit because yes, little room to make a mistake, but more room for injury. So I I could definitely see McAvoy playing 2 to 3 games, three at the absolute most. I would actually I would argue if there was anyone that I would anticipate to play maybe a little bit more, maybe close to that 3 to 4 range, would be Hampus Lindholm, because he was the one that missed, I would say,
The whole season,
75% of the season.
he was my
Yeah,
number
so
three
I
guy.
would say, yeah, I would contest, yes, Lindholm, but also because it was his knee, I would be a little bit of wary on that in preseason, because you got to think in the way I see it, right? In preseason, the NHLers are not playing 100%.
No,
Pasternak and McAvoy and Lindholm and the Zadorovs, the Lindholms, they're not going to go out there and they're not going to play 100%. At
nope,
least not to my belief. Like, they're competitive, absolutely. But you know who is going to play 100%? The people fighting for a roster spot.
I agree. I
That's
agree.
my concern. So if you're
I
going up against, like, like you said, like the people, like the Rangers, the Capitals, especially the Rangers, who have Matt Rempe, who's known to go off the rails, I'm not playing Pasternak or any of my high value players if Matt Rempe's in the lineup. I'm not doing it.
I don't know, because
Because they'll say take a run.
I don't think Rempe wants to get a sussy in the preseason for doing something stupid. Like, you know
Rum
what I
bum
mean?
bum.
Like that's the thing. Like, he's going to get suspended this year, right? Either for doing something stupid, but I don't think he's going to go out
Probably.
there. Yeah, probably, but I don't think he's going to go out there in the preseason and do it, because he wants to get some games in. Again, game checks are important, and if you're getting fined by the league and missing game checks because you didn't play, it hurts your bottom line, right? As a professional, but
Yep.
it's just one of those things where it wouldn't surprise me if McAvoy plays 3-4 games. I'm thinking 4 games to get him out there and get him skating again. Same with Lindholm, 3-4, but also his knee is a thing. So he gives me the 3 range, right? Just because you don't want to overburden him on his knee, and you want him to get out there, shake off the rust, and get some game time playing. But You don't want him re-injuring his knee and now he's gone for 75% of the season again. Another really big thing for me is looking for the Zadorov and what's his name? I'm drawing a blank on it. His defensive partner,
Yoki Haru.
Yep, that's
Yoki
right.
Haru.
I'm kind of looking forward to seeing what that develops like in the preseason. Just seeing how to see if they've built even more chemistry or whatnot, and kind of seeing what we can expect out of them. I'm kind of really looking forward to that. Actually, I'm not gonna lie.
See, I think you're only gonna get one game in the preseason where you're gonna see, like I said, that 85% of the roster, and where you're gonna actually look at like those deep pairings. Because again, I don't think you with the main roster, you already know the players that are going to be on the roster. You know Zadorov is going to make it. You know Yoki Haru is going to make it. You know Lowry is going to make it. Andrew Peak might have to fight for a spot, but honestly, he's going to make it. You know Lindholm's going to make it. McAvoy's going to make it. You know the top line on the forwards group's going to make it. You know the second line's going to make it. The people fighting for a spot. I mean, honestly, you could argue that someone in the preseason could fight for maybe a second line spot. You could, but ultimately you're fighting for the bottom six, possibly a spot on the middle six. So I still think that this is where, like, the Bruins already know what that roster is going to look like for the most part, and you're going to maybe see 1 to 2 games of that final roster outlook, like, with the bottom six probably changing. That's where they'll change it. But I definitely don't think you'll see the pairs as frequent as like 4 games.
No, I agree that you're not going to see them as frequent, but I think there's going to be at least 2 games out there where you're going to have 90% of the roster there, and I'm looking forward to seeing that. Right, like the only thing I can draw to is like preseason in football, right? Yeah, the starters might only play 1 quarter, right? But I'm watching that first quarter because that's when all the starters are playing. So I want to see how the offensive line moves. I want to see how Drake May moves, right? I want to see how our D line looks. I want to look how I want to see how our secondary is going to look going into the season, right? Like that's for me how I look at these games, right? Because you already know what's going to be there. I mean, we've sat here and talked about this all the time, where what our roster predictions are and what we're stuck with, right? We know that's pretty solid. So, for me, I got to look at the positive side and try to look at the guys that I already know that are going to be playing and seeing what they look like this year, and kind of either, I wouldn't say getting my hopes up, but I wouldn't, it's to more evaluate, hey, all right, this is going to be rough. It's really like my predictions are going to be right, and I just need to mentally brace for it, right? It's one of those things where I'm looking at it because we already know the known commodities that are going to be on there. So let's brace for reality, and that way I don't come here and just go flying off the handle with being surprised, right? Like that's not what we're looking for. It's just more of, hey, I like this deep pairing. McAvoy looks good. Swayman seems locked in more. Okay, cool. That second line of what we predicted. Okay, how do they look? And that's kind of the idea behind it. Not necessarily. Yeah, can I be surprised by some prospects? I will be delighted to be surprised by some prospects and some guys that are, fighting for a roster spot. And I hope I am. It's just, what reality.
Tangential to that real quick, Steve, like that's, so when I say, by the way, because I can imagine like some people are going to call me on like, there's no way like Sal Minton, Duran, like all these guys are going to make it. I'm not saying that. Like, you want to look at these guys because that's your future of the team. Like what happens when AC Mont's gone? What happens when Corral is gone? Like, I'm not convinced John Beecher is going to be on the opening night roster. Like, you know what I mean? I should have added him to this list too. Like, he also needs to prove that he can be a consistent NHLer. And I think that's why Don brought in Tanner Jeannot, AC Mont, Corrali, because Kostelik's going to fight with John Beecher for that spot. Like, but I think Kostelik's better than Beecher. So it's like, like you have to look at these guys and hope that they're willing to take the next step, that they're actually willing to fight for a spot that they want to be on the Boston Bruins or the NHL level too. Because don't forget, like fans, like just because, like, people could say like, oh, Beach is a fourth liner on any other team. That team has to want him, and he knows that. So he also knows he needs to go out there and ball out and show what he can do. So it's not just like, oh, he'll just go to another team. It's not that simple. Sure. But then if he takes that same approach on another team, he's going to be in the AHL again. So if you really want to be in the NHL, that's like what I'm saying. Like, pay attention to some of these players, because that's how they're going to tell you whether or not they're worth it.
Yeah. Well, it's also like, again, to your point, proving your worth, right? If you're going to look at a guy that's going to be a fourth liner on every other team, right? Okay, well, cool. Like, is it the difference between a league minimum fourth line deal or a little bit more than a, like, you know what I mean? Like, that's the difference.
Yeah, or a corral.
These guys want to get paid, right? They want to, right? Like, look at Jano. He wanted to get paid. He got paid, right? Like, that's the thing. It's just, it comes down to a payday as well, but also, like, well, it's not unfortunate because, again, hockey players deserve all the money that they get. They should be getting more, in my opinion, because it's the most brutal game. Yeah.
Hey, listen,
like 82.
I know I rag on Tanner Jeannot. Listen, I know I rag on Tanner Jeannot a lot. I'm sure he's actually a great guy. It's just, it has nothing to do with Tanner. It has just everything to do with the end, like the no trade clause. Like, honestly, live your best life. Get the money you want. It's just, at the current state of the team, I just wish there was something better that we could have done. Not saying like he's not an NHLer, he is, but like, after what, we're only a couple of years removed from the greatest season in NHL history, as a Boston Bruins fan, that stings to see how far the team has fallen from grace and like where we're spending money. That's the only gripe. So it has nothing to do with Tanner Jeannot. It has everything to do with how the money is being spent.
And I don't think that gripe is unreasonable. No, I don't think that gripe is unreasonable. Because how do you go from setting the record to signing all of these third and fourth liners as just a hodgepodge of let's throw shit against the wall and see what sticks, right? That's not kind of how you predicted the past season or even this season going, right? Like, there was supposed to be a minimal level of competency, and I don't see the minimal level of competency by the GM or any of the players that we've got, right? I mean, how have we fallen that far from grace to get to the point where me and you are constantly ragging on Tanner Jeannot because of his deal and the no trade clause? And for no reason. I mean, he hasn't proved anything yet.
Well, but it's like, against him, it's really not against him. It's against,
of course. Like, of course. But at the same time, it's like, Donnie, are you really spending the money on this guy and that guy as when we could be doing something else here? Like what are we doing? It's the constant pain in the ass of, what are you doing? Like, what do you want to win? Do you want to be an embarrassment of the league? Like, what is going on? Like, why have we fallen so far off? It doesn't make any sense to me. And the money's there, that we got money and we got more money coming. So what's the deal? And that's what's frustrating, because now you have
the deal is $3.4 million for 5 years.
Yeah, well, but you got 8-9 guys to fill up 6 slots, and you're still went out and paid all these guys. So what's that do?
No,
it's just too many guys to field, right, or put on the ice, and not enough roster spots for all these guys, and we're just giving out money. I don't know.
And listen, I think that's why this preseason is very important for all those guys that I mentioned. I mean, like I said, like Sal Patra, Minton, Los Melis, like, it's very important, because Don is clearly sending a message that he wants NHLers. So live up to it. Live up to the expectation. You're part, and like, too, like, in preseason, like, what I hope that these young players hope to embrace is that you're part of an original 6 franchise. That in of itself is that there's history behind there. So embrace the game for what it is. Embrace the community that's going to welcome you, but also embrace the historical aspect of the team of which you're associated. So people in Seattle, it might be a great franchise, but it's a young team. People out in Utah, technically they've been the Arizona Coyotes. But if you also think about it, now you're in Utah, it's no longer a franchise that necessarily has history per se, but just remember with certain things that the longer the team has been around, arguably the expectations get much higher.
Yes.
I'm sure Rick would even agree with that with the Montreal Canadiens, the Chicago Blackhawks. I'm sure if Marissa's listening in the room, she'll say that too. The expectations when you've been around that long and have developed that fan base is extremely high. So that's just one thing I'm hoping for all these players in preseason to accommodate. And so I think it's going to be fun to see.
To your point, right? Like I got my hat on right here, right? Bruins Centennial.
Yep.
We've been around 100 years. It's 101 season. Okay. My grandfather watched the Bruins win a cup in the 70s, right? The first time my dad
I thought
saw
you were about
Bruins
to say
cup
in the. I thought you were about to say in the 1920s. I was like, oh shit.
No, but listen, it's different because my grandfather came here from a different country and immigrated, and instantly fell in love with hockey, and then got to see two Stanley Cups won in the first couple of years that he was a part of this country, right? So again, for my family, it's 3 generations that we've loved these teams, and it's been ingrained into our culture. You've been around for 101 years. It's ingrained in the culture. There's a reason why they say, Massachusetts is a state of hockey, right? Like without the Boston Bruins being around for 101 years, there wouldn't be a rink in every single city in Massachusetts, right? That's how well connected the Boston Bruins organization and the community is, right? They do it for the fans. There's a ton of outreach, right? Like at the end of the day, it's culturally ingrained into the city, and that's
Yep.
What is it? 100 years is what, 5 generations, 6 generations? About
I think something like that. I think a generation
something
is
like
15 to 25 years. I think is that is. I don't know. I know that's a wide range, but I can't remember that off the top of my head.
But still, the point
Google it.
remains,
I don't know.
Right? The point still remains is it's generations of people living in Boston and being fans of this team and seeing that rich history. And of course, again, it's very hard to play for an original 6 franchise because Montreal's been around for 10 years, whatever it is.
No, Rick, aren't they celebrating their 100th this year?
They from wait a second now. 1909, I think, was the first.
They're the first team.
Yeah, 1909.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They've been around a little bit longer. I wasn't
sure because I know a couple other teams are celebrating theirs. Well, I just know a couple other teams are celebrating their centennial this year. Quick note, by the way, those Red Wings jerseys are absolutely gas.
Yes, they are.
Wow, those centennial jerseys are crazy. That's just a side tangent. Wow, holy cow, that's good. All right, anyway, continue your rant.
Detroit, Chicago getting their 100th year this season. Fun fact, Bruins and Chicago are playing the Blackhawks centennial game this year. So awesome. I mean, it's still one of those things that it's when you're a part of these franchises, it's ingrained and it means a much more. And it's hard to play for these teams. Again, Boston media is not a joke. I mean, there's reasons why people don't come to Boston is because they don't want to listen to, the 2 guys on the radio stations that I'm not going to mention right now. It's and everybody else on that. It's very difficult to come here and play. And
it's especially fine. You can listen to them on F&M.
F&M
radio.
I think there's 5, 9, and 8 in there. Yeah, whatever it is. But at the end of the day, all those radio hosts are just as bad as him, and it's very difficult to play here. So don't stink this year, guys. Just put up a fight and not disappoint us again.
I'm fine with the Bruins stinking because I understand it's the cycle, it's the circle of life. You gotta get worse before you get better sometimes, and so I think this is going to be another year where the Bruins will get worse before they get better. But I just wanted the silver lining to be, like I said, those prospects, right, or those AHL players that we know have the potential to take another step forward. I just want to see it. I want to see them do it, and I can only imagine the pressure that's on them, and that's why I said, well, welcome to an original 6 franchise. You didn't want to be a part of it. You should have done your homework. You were a fan of the NHL and hockey your entire life. You should have known that when you get drafted by a team with a large market, that especially in the first round, there's going to be significant expectations.
Yep.
And whether they're justified or not, I can't tell you, but they're there.
And it's from being around for over 100 years. And at the same time, my worst fear is wasting a generational talent like David Pastrnak. I hot take. I hope this is not true. I'm going to say this. I think David Pastrnak is going to be this generation's Ray Bourque. Not going to win a Stanley Cup with the Bruins, and is going to leave the Boston Bruins to win a Stanley Cup.
Okay, so that's what you meant. All right, I got super confused. I'm like, could you elaborate on that? I'm like, I don't like in the entire NHL. I don't know. He's a great player, arguably like could make a run at Kucherov for the best right winger. I think Kucherov has a lot more help on him in the form of Braden Point, but Kucherov also does a lot on his own. So I'm going to give credit where credit's due there. It's a hot take. That is a possibility. I hope that doesn't come to fruition, but you never know. I think we're not going to get into that because I'm going to fall down a rabbit hole and you're going to send me to bed depressed. So I don't want that right now. So we're gonna play. Fuck you, Steve. We're gonna play Build-a-Bruin. Oh man. Oh dude, you suck. That
I know.
I don't want to even think
at least
about
we get
it.
to build a Bruin now, and that's fun. And
Sure,
that's something to look.
We're gonna build a Bruin. Actually, one question before we move on to Build-a-Bruin. What is the best preseason outcome for you? Like, what would make this preseason a success for you?
Are you looking for like wins and losses? Nobody get hurt? Like, what do you? Can you be a little bit more specific?
Just in general, what would a successful preseason for the Bruins look like? Does it? Okay. It can be record. It can be like people surprising you, people that doubt, like whatever. What is your ideal outcome of a preseason? Like, what do you actually want to see? Okay. Like real quick, 2 sentences.
In order for me to find success in this preseason, Swayman's got to come back looking locked in. That top line has to look like the top line of last year. We kind of get some sort of understanding on where those new guys like Patra, Mitten are going to fit into this lineup. And if you're looking, and nobody gets hurt, right? That's a big one. We can't start the season with injuries. I think that's obviously not a good thing. And you know what? I'll give you a record. If they come out 3-3, right? There's some upside there. If they're running at 500 for the preseason, there might be something to work with, right? Best case scenario.
For me, I think I agree almost with like pretty much everything that you've said. Like, I actually want to see. For me, I need to see the prospects show me something. I could care less about the record in the preseason. I just need to see the individual efforts from the players that I mentioned, and obviously, like what you said, like also seeing how the NHL regulars are going to look. I just need to see that they're coming back and ready to play. I don't necessarily need them to score a whole bunch of goals or get a lot of points. I just need to see how they're holding themselves on the ice. But for me, it's all about the rookies that are trying to get, or the AHLers that are trying to crack this roster. So I'm really, for me, I would like to see 3 of them make the team and try and outplay somebody. And I'm not including Beecher in that because he already had 1 full season. I'm talking about any NHLer that has not had a full NHL season under their belt. So that would be a success for me. And with that, we are going to play Build-a-Bruin. And for those who don't know what Build-a-Bruin is that we are basically going to use this wonderful random wheel generator that is at the bottom here, but that I just maximized. So if you guys are, in the car or just listening, basically we have this wheel that we've populated with a bunch of random names. We're going to spin the wheel. We have 5 categories. We're going to categorize, or we're going to take attributes from each player that spins and decide whether we're going to take their shooting, passing, skating, hockey sense, and I'm going to blank on the last one because that is just who I am. And just give me a second. So it's going to be skating, shooting, hockey sense, puck control, and passing. Sorry. So
can we add one more there?
What?
Can we add
You're gonna
one
make
more
this
to that
difficult for me,
category?
aren't you? Give me a category. I'm going to tell you where it falls under in the 5.
Toughness.
Sure. Actually, I like that. We'll add toughness. Am I going to take someone's grit? This week, we took the 2011 Stanley Cup champion team in the Boston Bruins. So the criteria for this was that all the players on the team had to play at least 44 games, I think it was, more than half the season in order to qualify to be on this list. So we have 5 players. Goalies are excluded from this list because we don't have any goalie attributes. We can actually make one and do that. But without further ado, we're going to each take a turn. We're going to spin the wheel, and each of us are going to decide where we're going to put that player on our list. Steve, are you ready to play? Let's Build a Bruin. I think I just went around a really convoluted way of explaining how this fucking game works.
I'm ready. Let's get it.
Basically, we're spinning a wheel. We're picking what attribute we want the players on. Have fun. Play along with us. All right? And just comment in the comment section below what you guys picked. All right, let's spin that wheel. All right, the first selection is Joe Corvo.
Do you even remember who he is?
He's a defenseman, wasn't he?
Jeez, I barely remember that guy.
God,
Yeah.
Do I take his toughness? I'm just scared if I take his toughness, I'm gonna get Zdeno Chara and be like, oh well.
You want to go first? Where are you gonna put this guy?
Shit. What's the least impactful thing that I could probably do? Would it be skating? Do you think skating would be like the least impactful element?
No, you're the game's on ice. You need to know how to skate pretty well.
Oh, I guess. But if you're an NHLer, I would expect you to know how to skate. Joe Corvo, fuck.
Joe Corvo. Where would you put this guy?
Where would I put this guy? I don't know.
He was a defenseman, by the way.
Yeah, no, I knew that. I know he was a defenseman. Okay. All right, I guess. Oh, fuck. Passing? I'll take Joe Corvo for passing.
Yeah, I'm going to put him in that same category because where else are you going to put him?
Okay, so Steve has Joe Corvo for passing, and I have Joe Corvo for passing. We're going to spin that wheel again. God, it's disgusting.
Just for the hell of it, he played for the Lowell Lock Monsters one year.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
Who the hell is that?
Jordan Caron. Oh.
I don't remember him either.
Fuck. This is going to be a shitty fucking Bruin.
Yes, it is.
Well, it'd be apropos for this year.
Yeah.
Wasn't he also a defenseman? Jordan Caron?
He was a right wing, barely.
Yeah, barely.
What's the worst stat you got there? Take him for that. Not scoring.
He was a right wing, barely.
Yep.
So that gives me confidence in this. This is going to be one fucking shitty Bruin.
This is built already. Our first 2 guys are bottom of the barrel. Third pair and
fuck it. I'll take toughness. I'll take toughness.
From the look of his, if he didn't have toughness, I don't know what he had.
Yeah, that's it. I'm putting him under toughness. That sucks.
Yeah, toughness.
Next guy's gonna be Lucic to come up.
Oh,
or Adam McQuaid. Say what you want about Adam McQuaid, but that dude was a tough bastard.
Oh my God! Could you imagine if Lucic pops up? That's gonna be crazy. All right, let's get the third one here.
We almost.
Oh my God! What's up with these fourth liners? Danny
No.
Paille?
He's gonna go Daniel Paille. Oh my God!
All right, so we got skating, shooting, and hockey sense, and puck control left.
Skating maybe for Paille.
I'm gonna give him hockey sense.
I feel like I want to give that to Gregory Campbell if I get him. Like, oh fuck! I can't give. I don't know if I can give him skating. You know what? No, I'm gonna give him skating. I'm gonna take Paille's skating.
Give him to me for hockey IQ.
Oh, you know what? No, I'm doing puck control. I'm gonna do it. No, I can't. I'm gonna.
God, no.
Shit.
He was a bottom liner.
Yeah, I know. Fuck. You gave him hockey sense, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna take his skating.
Okay.
I'm gonna hate myself for that, but I'm banking on getting someone. I'm banking on getting Tyler Seguin. Is what I'm doing.
For skating.
I'm like, all right, well, we can't. We got Daniel Paille again, but we're taking no replicates here, so. Let's see who we got. Another spin on that wheel, and for some reason,
Can you remove?
I did remove Jordan Caron. Yeah. Oh my God.
You're gonna just give you
Couple duplicates here.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, come on, give me Benoit Pouliot. All right, Andrew Ferentz. What's up with all these bottom liners, buddy? I'm gonna take his. I wish I could take his toughness.
Yeah, I was gonna say that, right?
He was a pretty tough guy too. There was a lot of tough guys on this 2011 team.
I gotta shit. I gotta go with hockey sense. I'm going hockey sense.
I think that's reasonable because he did become a captain after he left the Bruins.
He did.
He did.
Right, eh? Where did he go for that though?
Was he in Winnipeg or Edmonton? I can't remember. It was Canada.
Edmonton.
No. There you
go. Edmonton. Yeah, he was the captain of the Edmonton Oilers for like a season.
You know what? Give me give me shooting.
Oh God.
Yeah. Listen, I'm getting no help. I'm getting no help from your magical wheel.
It's not that magical. It's like when you traded like coins for a bag of beans. Oh baby, let's go. We finally got a top 6 guy. Holy crap, and Seguin. I'll take his shooting. I wish I would have gotten him for skating.
I'll put him in there for skating.
Oh fuck. All right, what else do I have left? I think I just have puck control left. Yeah, I have puck control, and I think you also have puck control.
Yep.
All right, so let's see who gets our puck control. It's going to be Sean Thornton.
Wouldn't that be poetic?
It's going to be Sean Thornton.
Yeah.
Okay, Rich Beverly. Okay, I'll take Pabs. I'll take Pabs.
That's not bad.
I'll take what? He was our third line center, wasn't he? Fourth line center?
He wasn't a bad player, Beverly, if I'm correct.
No, he was actually the player that had a stroke on the Dallas Stars bench. Yeah.
On the bench, right?
Yeah. All right, are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready for this awfulness? Steve, you're
take the screen down. No, I'll do it.
This is terrible. Oh my God, Steve, you're
awesome.
This is awful. First of all, oh, what happened here? We're all jumbled up now. Oh my God, quick fix that. Steve, are you ready for this? Your team.
Oh, I'm ready.
For Corvo, you have Corvo's passing, Caron's toughness, Paille's hockey sense, Ferentz's shooting, Sagan's skating and Peverley's puck control. Where would you put him
overall in NHL.
On your team? Like,
this guy's a 60 overall. If I'm doing it by NHL 26 standards.
One thing's for sure, he's definitely a bottom 6 guy. There's no question.
Yeah,
there's no
so
same for you.
So isn't mine.
Same for you.
Oh, so isn't mine. I think mine's honestly. I think mine's like a 13th player. Yeah, he's not winning the 13th player award or the 7th player award, but he might win the 13th player award. I have Corvo's passing, Caron's toughness, Paille's skating. I don't know why I ever took that. It's not bad. Ferentz's hockey sense. I mean, he's a defenseman. He was a captain, so give me that. Sagan. I think the only thing that saved me here was getting Sagan shooting. Like, I think that's it. So maybe he's a 12th player, not the 13th player. And then obviously Peverley's puck control. God, wow, that was terrible. Oh my God.
Yep.
Wow. That is a bottom 6 player right there. That is a guy. That is Matt Rempe.
Yep, that's pretty close.
That is legit Matt Rempe.
That's
my God.
Right there. That is.
This is a guy that basically goes to beer league thinking that he's the shit and then just absolutely eats ice like that. I think those are the players that we just created.
Now, I'll give you this. This guy, he played 2 to 3 seasons in the NHL/AHL, mostly AHL, and then goes to beer league and does okay, but still thinks he's playing for a cup. And because he's a little
and
bit
then
better
makes
than
a paper
else.
mache copy of the Stanley Cup and hoists it during the championship. That's this guy.
Yeah.
That's the guy that we just made. Yeah, 4th liner. I don't even think it's even a competition. Like, we got the one
He's an
top
AHL
6 guy. Yeah, like he has one top 6 talent attribute, and that's skating. You know what? Hold on. Let's do one more. How about leadership? Let's just add some fun. Let's see if we can remedy this guy. Right? Let's see if we can add leadership to his scale. Let's take a spin.
He's a bottom 6 leader.
Yep, let's see. You wouldn't believe it. We just got Brad Marsh on.
Yeah, what happened to it? I didn't.
It's right here. Oh, and there it goes. That's crazy. Just got Brad Marsh on.
For leadership.
I'll take that. So now he's a 3rd line guy.
My guy's still on the 4th line. Hey, didn't Rich Peverley no.
Oh.
Yeah. Who was the captains of that team?
Peverley was not an A.
He didn't have an A? I thought he had an A.
No. It was Chara, I believe. Kretsch,
Chara and Bergeron.
I think Bergie wore the other A.
Who wore the other one?
Krejci.
Yeah,
I think.
Krejci.
I think I can't remember who the season A's were that year, but wow. Woo! All right, well, fans, we hopefully you guys played the game with us. Let us know where you guys would put our player that we created. God,
Hey fans, I tell you where I'm playing them. Beer league.
Yep.
Oh man. Oh dude, that was so bad. One top 6. We had 6 attributes, 19 players, and
7 attributes now. We had 2 top
yep.
Top 6 talent. That's great.
Yeah. I don't know if that's good. I don't know if that was a good turnout. Oh man. All right, well, next week or another week after, we're gonna have to do it again. All right, guys. But fans, hopefully you enjoyed that game. Play along with us. Let us know in the comments what you got. And then we'll also judge your character, or judge your assessment of where you would take that guy. Honestly, it's a 4th liner no matter which way you look at it. You might be able to squeak a 3rd liner out of this. But that's good. Just a look ahead of what HiBruiNation is going to be looking forward to. We are going to take next week off because of the preseason game, so we won't be on here. So we're going to recap pretty much close to preseason's end. recap the preseason for you guys, and then we're going to get into our final standings predictions, final lineup predictions, and all the fun stuff before the first game of the season on October 8th against the Washington Capitals. But until next time, guys, go Bruins. And Steve, do you have any final thoughts?
Go Bruins. Beer League's the best. And catch you next time.
Peace out, everybody.